What are you doing? You do this.
You're on barking.
Be your angle or your defense. We're gonna start.
Here are the deck lists.
What? You can release the side mode.
This is just the same image.
Yeah.
Headphones? This is just the chat.
They're pretty much ready to go.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for them to start?
Yeah, cool.
Do you need some way for me to communicate like life total changes to you?
Yes, I'll show you how to do that. Sweet. Yeah, you're good, man. Here's the chat. You can just commentate on the thing right there. Oh, sweet. More people. Yeah, cool.
All right. I think they are close to getting started.
Yeah, they did.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Book Your Winning Winners, that is time of your round. Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, that is time of your round.
Yeah, you can sit right there, you can sit right here, it doesn't matter. Hold the same camera.
Well, just tell me more.
Here are the deck lists.
How do we record life totals?
How do you what?
Record life totals.
Oh, yeah, I'll show you how to do that too. See the 20s right here?
Okay.
All you gotta do is click, the guy's gonna show he's gonna show the life total whenever it changes.
Okay.
So all you gotta do is just hit down and then hit save and it'll change.
Okay. Yep, taking one off of the flooded strand, it looks like.
You guys can hear each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the esper tokens that Ray Perez used to top 8 the finals of the Grand Prix in India, right? Something similar to that?
It looks pretty similar. We have Seeker, Reflector Mage, Wingmate Rock, Tassiger, Secure the Waste, yeah, Painful Truths. Yeah, this looks pretty similar.
The Reflect Mage was an update to the deck, right?
Yeah. And I think originally this used to be like a black-white style deck before both of the Gatewatch came out.
With Matter Reshapers, Stasis Mirrors, and Silk Wraps.
It had, yeah, like Seeker of the Way and a lot of Planeswalkers in the deck.
I actually lost to Robert in round 3, I believe.
Okay. So it looks like he just played a morphed creature, it looks like, and meeting an end of turn Secure the Waste for 2.
It's either Den Protector or Stratosphere.
It could be, yeah. Den Protector, yep.
This is pretty standard.
Coming in.
Right? No crazy. Got the 2 Windmate Rocks. Yep, this is pretty.
Yeah, this looks like a pretty standard list. It looks like he's taking 2 down to 18 off this attack.
Deck name on the sheet: Mono Black Chaos Orb.
So the Bant company deck that Robert's playing right now, I actually won a PPTQ this season with, and it feels very powerful. I didn't play Wingmate Rock in my deck, but other than that, I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah. Earlier we were playing. I'm playing the mono red Eldrazi deck. He flips 2 Reflector Mages off, a Collected Company, and impossible for me to come back. Plus Reflector Mages.
Alright, so he's down to 18 on there. 16 to 18 it looks like, drawing a card off Obnixilis. Down to 17 there off of the fetch land. And
Most likely see a collected company.
yeah, that's what it's looking like. Either that or
Craig from media to the stage, please. Craig from media to the stage.
yeah, collected company it is. Let's see what comes up. So we got Crisis and a face-up Stratus Dancer. So let's see. I would be shocked if he follows through with this attack. And the Seeker of the Way comes down.
Do you know if these guys work together? Friends?
I don't know much about these players.
They both have really funky nicknames.
Alright, so it looks like he's attacking the Obnixilis with the Stratus Dancer there.
You know Obzak?
Here, pull your mic up a little bit.
Do you know what Obzak?
I do not know the loyalty count on it right now. Did he draw a card with it? So he should be at 16. Alright, so it looks like a big old pile of creatures just came out that collected company. Tapping Seeker, bouncing a token. Yeah, I can't see what loyalty. I would suspect is pretty low at this point.
Seeker and Utter in his hand, so it's pretty clean. No reason to attack.
Jamoka's command. See what the modes are. I'm wondering if he's going to make him sack that Silk Wrap there.
I think that's uttering.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Takes Obnixilis down. So he actually has the potential now to start breaking through with these Seeker of the Ways, depending on if he's able to trigger Prowess. Does not look like it.
I'm not sure which one.
So the winner of this match is going to be making top 8.
Yes.
And I don't know which player. One of the players here is 4-1. The other player is 3-2, I believe, which prevents them from taking the intentional draw.
I believe Clemency is the one that's 4-1.
Okay.
I know Jeremy was 3-1 going into round 5. And he won that match, so.
Gotcha.
Attention card players, if you top 16, you got 9 through 16, please come see me at the
Oh
stage.
boy.
Card play Vanguard 9 through 16.
Yeah, Robert has all gas at this point.
If Jeremy has a run, he's going to be able to find one. Are Well, the top deck secure the list is going to be very.
Yeah, he does have over twice as many lands in play as his opponent.
He's got Jace with that.
Yeah, he can Jace Collected Company, or he can Jace and fight down the other Seeker of the Way. Both pretty strong.
This game does feel out of reach for Jeremy.
Yeah. Although, I mean, he is in the colors to be running some sweepers, so it may not be out of the question. We do have the deck list here. We can check and see if there is anything that's going to shore up. I guess he could draw a Painful Truths into a bunch of, a bunch of good spells, but other than that, I don't know what's happening. So it looks like the Jace did flashback the Collected Company, hitting a Sylvan Advocate and a Bounding Krasis. Krasis is most likely going to tap down the Seeker, and I'm guessing Robert is going to come through for some amount of damage. He does have to be careful. I think his opponent does have Shambling Vents in play, so he doesn't want to attack with anything that can potentially either trade or bounce with the Shambling Vents. So it looks like Shambling Vents is animated, and he may be double blocking the Krasis here. So he's going to effectively take 1 point of damage off this exchange.
Yu-Gi-Oh players, your parents are now 6 have been
He's playing a deck that takes advantage of Treasure Cruise, right?
Yeah. Yeah, things aren't looking good. It may be only Secure the Waste that's gonna really do much of anything right now.
I think he would need to draw Secure into Sorin.
Yeah, Secure into Sorin could do that, and just, as long as he doesn't die, he can generate quite a bit of life from that attack back. So he's going to Reflector Mage or Reflector Mage here. So fetching, taking a point here, then 15.
I'm curious as to if he has
Yeah, in a situation like this, I don't think, I don't think it's ever a good idea to concede if there is any amount of hope. Only if you're really far down on the clock. And he's still at a relatively high life total, being at 13. Although it looks like one more land's going to turn that Sylvan Advocate into a 4/5 here, so that might be attacking for quite a bit pretty soon. Yeah, and that's huge. Yep. So hit the land. What's interesting here is with a fetch land, if you do something foolish like attack and then crack your fetch land, if your guy has some damage on it, you could accidentally have it die. So you just want to be careful about timing, and typically just crack the fetch land right away.
I've had a game where my opponent attacks, fetches, in response, Spatial Contortion, and Sylvan Advocate.
Oh wow! So he's using that as a pump spell. So it looks like Stratus Dancer and a Founding Krasis are coming in, and Reflector Mage and a Token look like they were jumping in front of the Krasis, jumping in front of the Sylvan Advocate. So it looks like here 3 damage going through, and Jeremy losing almost all his creatures. Yeah.
I do believe they must. I think they might know each other a little bit because he isn't playing in fear of a board wipe or anything. Okay, so
Yeah.
nothing to
Yeah, and I mean, Robert's playing like a little bit conservatively. He doesn't want to attack the Dem Protector into a possible prowess trigger and things like that. So it looks like now they're going to be going into game 2. Reset the life totals.
So for Jeremy, you can expect a Hollow Moonlight.
It's possible to want to bring in the Hollowed Moonlight just to basically act as a counter spell for Collected Company. I mean, it's not nearly as good as it would be in the Rally matchup, but it is a potential. It's also a nice instant speed cantrip that you can use kind of as a pump spell for Secret of the Way to trigger his prowess.
So which cards do you like for him?
So looking at the sideboard here, it has 2 Dispels, 1 Negate, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Hallowed Moonlight, 2 Surge of Righteousness, 3 Self-Inflicted Wound, 2 Monastery Mentor, and 1 Kalitas. So looking at the sideboard here, even Dispel is a more appealing card to me to bring in than Hallowed Moonlight, because Dispel can take care of the Dromoka's command as well. And it costs 1 less mana, it doesn't let you draw a card. And it does have the downside with the interaction with Seeker, like you can't just play it whenever you feel like it to trigger prowess. But the difference between 1 and 2 mana on basically the counterspell effect is pretty huge. And it may be possible too that his opponent is going to bring in some other instant speed spells, which you typically see in the sideboard of the Bant Collected Company deck. So if you look at the Bant sideboard, has 3 Ration Cleric, 2 Hallowed Moonlight, 3 Dispel, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Valorous Stance, 1 Hidden Dragon Slayer, 1 Harbinger of the Tides, and 1 Stratus Dancer. So we may be looking at boarding in some Disdainful Strokes to try and stop some of the bigger spells like the Planeswalkers or the Secure the Waste here. So it may actually just be reasonable to board into spells, assuming that your opponent's playing a rather stock list. I think most of these decks play.
So we're most likely to see the Stratus Dancer, the Strokes, most likely the spells.
Yeah. I don't think you want to necessarily overboard too much on counter spells. Like seeing that the only real instance we saw in the main deck were the Utter End and Secure the Waste played, and I think there's a couple ultimate prices, but it's much more appealing to me to bring in those Disdainful Strokes over the Dispels just because they have more relevant targets. Like you're actually countering Sorin or Gideon or Ob Nixilis, like some of these big high impact cards.
Do we think Jeremy's going to side in the Monastery Mentors?
Possibly. I think Monastery Mentor tends to be sided in a bit more when your opponent's not as creature heavy, just because the creatures Monastery Mentor generates aren't particularly good at fighting all these 2/3s that the Bant deck typically has. So I'd be thinking probably it's more likely that these Self-Inflicted Wounds are going to come in, just because it's going to hit almost every single creature in the Bant deck.
So what do you think Jeremy's going to be siding out here?
So I would think probably the Dispels and the Self-Inflicted Wounds may come in, and looking at cards to take out, it's hard to say. I don't have much experience with this style of deck in particular. Maybe some of the couple of the higher end spells, and you can board down a little bit on removal spells if you're bringing in Self-Inflicted Wounds as well. So maybe taking out some amount of like ultimate price or something that just there's creatures that dodge it. Reflector Mage, Impound and Krasis dodge it, and any of the Dem Protector, Death Mist, if they get played face down as a morph, there's plenty of creatures that can dodge that spell in particular.
Do you think he'd shave any of the numbers of Treasure Cruise or Painful Truths?
It could be, because this match, it's not a long grindy match in the same way that
he won't have enough time.
Right. A lot of the sort of 4-color value decks that are playing Siege Rhinos and things like that, they really want effects like that because they tend to 1-for-1 everything the opposing player is doing, and then you gas back up casting these draw spells. But here, I feel like with the amount of creatures in the Bant deck that you risk almost just getting run over to take a turn off to cast a spell like that.
That's not fun. third seed.
Players are getting ready.
You did not finish the event.
All right.
He's almost my hero.
As evidenced by following out.
Well, I mean, I could have been in the
So the chat's saying that this is saying we're streaming Yu-Gi-Oh, and I have
I'm on the play.
no idea how to change the title here. So I apologize to viewers. I got brought in as a guest commentator. I do not know how to use the software. Alright, so looks like things are starting off. That looks like a mulligan to me from Jeremy. Yeah, so he's going down to 6 here.
But it's got to be pretty severe, and it's got to be like probably not.
So
like,
that's not a good
I'm
start.
not
He really
exactly
needs
for, like, anything
to take this game, push it to game
Well,
3.
it doesn't actually matter if you take it from him.
So he is on the play, which is pretty important in this matchup. And
But I can tell that you guys are friends.
you know, if you can sort of establish what you're doing before your opponent gets to 4 mana, where they can start casting their collected companies, then it's a pretty good feeling. Like if he can get a threat down on the board, and you know, if he brought in counter spells, if he can have a you know, a dispel or something like that. Yeah, if you wanna go look, we can try and get that title changed here.
I mean, it could be somewhat snowy. It looked like it was. I couldn't tell. So I don't know. Yeah, that's the. That's the. Oh, there's a magic match. That's what you're asking. Oh, all right. Keep 6.
All right.
Yeah, change channels then. Did you do that? Or should I get the stream guy? Get the stream guy.
All right. So he looks like he's keeping 6. Leading off looks like just a basic plains. All right. Swamp. So having the basics is going to be good. He's going to be able to play most of his lands untapped from now on, which is a pretty nice advantage here. This looks like Sylvan Advocate's coming down on Robert's side.
So Jace there would have been very
Let's see here. Yeah, Jace would have been great, but yep, there's that self-inflicted wound. So Robert's going to be going down to 18 off of this.
I wonder if he had Jace, because Jace there would have been.
Yeah, Jace there would have dodged that self-inflicted wound. He may also just not have had it in his hand. I think almost every single time it's the correct choice to lead on the Jace if you have it. It just generates you so much advantage.
Nunchuck Jace.
Yeah, especially you know, looting the cards in a deck like this where you can put Deathmiss Raptors in your graveyard and then return them for free. It really just generates you so much advantage.
Do you think Collected Company is going to stay a player in one rotation hits?
After rotation, I would think so. So here's Deathmiss Raptor coming down, and this is nice because even if this gets removed, it has to really get exiled before it stops it really. So yep, so there's a Silk Wrap coming down. This is a little bit risky just because we know that the Bant player is playing Dromoka's Command in the deck, so he may be able to unlock that Deathmiss Raptor later. Alright, so he's fetching, looks like going down to 19 here. Yeah, I've seen a lot of speculation on Collected Companies coming up. The problem is, without the fetch lands, the mana gets really tough. So if you end up wanting to be a 3-color deck, you really have to jump through some hoops, it looks like, until, I mean, I don't think all the cards are spoiled yet, but you know, as far as we know, the mana's not looking great.
I was really hoping to see the core set.
Yeah, something like that would have been great. Alright, so 5 mana on Jeremy's side. Reflector Mage is coming down. So this is really big. Holding off that Deathmiss Raptor for another turn. It looks like you know, Robert's hitting his 4th land drop here and just putting the Reflector Mage back. So it'll be fun back and forth here for a little bit. So
That would have been a very good turn for Collected Company to make those, because
yeah, so he may just not have it in the hand. So Gideon's coming down, very likely just making a ally knight token. Yep. And end of the turn, it looks like that Flooded Strand's getting activated, so he's going down to 16. Yeah, I'm kind of suspicious. It seems like if Robert had a Collected Company, that would have been a great opportunity to cast it, especially because the opposing Reflector Mage isn't really putting any sort of real pressure. And now we can see that Jeremy does have that Prairie Stream untapped, and now maybe a much riskier time if he in fact brought Dispel in from the sideboard. And that looks like exactly what happened here. So he went for the Collected Company, got dispelled, and oh yeah, things are really shaping up for Jeremy here. He's got an active Gideon. You know, I'm kind of surprised that the Reflector Mage didn't attack, just because it would have been a guaranteed 2 knocked off of Gideon's loyalty. You know, he may be saving it so that the knight allies can't attack him, but I'm not sure that you really can afford to be doing that at this point.
the old saying, if you're not going to attack, or if you're not going to block, you might as well attack.
Right. Yeah, the old no attacks, no blocks, and you know, Jeremy has a Shambling Vents in place, so it's certainly not a good choice to try and attack it now. All that would happen is Shambling Vents would animate, and the Reflector Mage would get double blocked in. So Utter End, and there's the Dispel.
He did have a Collected Company in this hand, so if he would have drawn a land, I Dispelled.
Yeah, he could have waited. He also could have just top decked the Dispel recently too. So, but he was struggling on lands. We saw him miss a couple land drops, so he may have thought that was the best use of his mana for the turn.
I said burnt sweet potato, yeah. Oh no, you had me angry. Jumping over this.
So this is one of those board states where it feels like it's going to get pretty quickly out of control, where the player with the Planeswalker tends to get so far ahead. Yeah. So he's already down to 6 here. Yeah, and it looks like pretty much the only hope that Robert has here at this point is having a Collected Company that's going to go uncountered.
The dream would be attack, Reflector, Collected Company.
Oh yeah. If he can hit a Collected Company with a Reflector Mage. Oh, so he's going for the emblem here to give all of his creatures that +1/+1. So now it looks like all of his creatures are outside of chump blocking range. So Collected Company, that's what's coming down. It looks like there's quite a few lands in that Collected Company. I saw the first 3 were lands for sure. So Deathness Raptor coming out. And I understand the Collected Company before attacks are declared in the case that you hit the Bounding Crisis, but I almost like letting the opponent attack first here. So we're gonna have to see what life totals happen here. So it looks like
I believe it's a 3.
3.
And then Jeremy gained 3.
So it looks like down to 3 and up to 22 off the life gain on that Shambling Vents. Yeah, so this is kind of the problem with the third Collected Company. I guess, you know, if he's got some fight left. So 2 Reflector Mages coming down.
I'd let him attack first before he companied.
Yeah. I see. That's why I like letting the other player. I mean, The reason is because of Bound and Krasis. He's trying to minimize the amount of damage that he's going to take. Yeah, so he's going to double block, lose a Reflector Mage. But he really is halting the damage. But even so, it's going to be really hard for him to get back in this game. His opponent has a lot of mana. We know his opponent has Gideon in his hand. Yeah. So Painful Truths going down to 18, but that's, you know, inconsequential at that point. And he has the Gideon emblem up. Yeah, I mean, he's already spent 3 collected companies, so unless he has another one, I mean, that's actually a pretty good one. If that's a Den Protector there, he can unmorph it, get back a collected company, and get some amount of Deathmiss Raptors back into play. So that's exactly what he needs to get back in this game. So he's going down to 2, and it looks like he might be casting a Disdainful Stroke here for that Gideon.
Do we know if Jeremy has a second kick in his hand?
I don't. I'm not really able to see what his hand looks like. Oh no, so he's going to fetch that so he can unmorph his creature. So making a knight. Interesting. So it may actually be a boarded in Hidden Dragon Slayer.
Because obviously it was a Den Protector, there's no reason to do it.
Yeah, if it was a Den Protector, he would have flipped it right away. It's I mean, it is possible that it is a face-down Deathmiss Raptor for the Ultimate Deceptions. But that seems rather risky at this point.
Jeremy does have a hollow moon in his hand.
Oh, okay. So Shambling Vent's coming, Gideon's coming. Showdown time. Alright, so it is a Stratus Dancer. And let's see what happens. Alright, so it looks like he is going to survive this combat. Jeremy's going to gain some life off of the Shambling Vents. But, you know, he is still alive. I think, I'm not quite sure the text on Stratus Dancer, if it's instants or sorceries only. Yeah. Alright. Swaps. Okay. So that just looks like a face-down creature here. And really the morph creatures are key here. He can keep chaining back Deathmiss Raptors.
Treasure Cruise is a good draw here.
Yes. Very good.
I was wondering if he was going to have enough time to get to Treasure Cruise. But
Yeah. So, I mean, Robert's fighting, but that Treasure Cruise is quite a nice draw here. So he has potential for quite a lot of powerful spells. I mean, Self-Inflicted Wound would just outright kill his opponent. So Gideon's gonna rumble, it looks like. So I like doing this in the chance that that morph creature is a Stratus Dancer. He's gonna attack in with Gideon, and then if he has something he can do second main phase. Oh, so it does look like that Hallowed Moonlight's going to happen.
I'm curious as to why he waited a turn.
I'm going to.
I'm not sure. He may have felt he didn't really need to
I'll draw.
do it because he was killing both of the raptors on the attack. So, all right. So that's preventing the raptors from coming back onto the battlefield.
Oh, he does have the self-inflicted wound.
Okay.
You sacrifice a creature. Sacrifice a green or white creature.
Yeah.
All right,
so
now how to do it.
Yep. So we're going to game 3.
And I thought, for some reason, I still thought you were at 3, and then I went down. No, you just had 2.
All right.
Doesn't matter. Target player sucks.
What's up, Dorian?
Hey, hey.
How'd your tournament go?
I tried to get there, but kept running into red-green Eldrazi route. Bad matchups.
What were you playing?
Black-green rock, believe it or not.
Okay. So tell me about Black Green Rock. Why should all of the people watching this go out and play Black Green Rock?
Well, I believe it's really good for the format. It has a lot of good matchups, and it actually grinds very well. It almost grinds as well as Mardu Green,
Okay.
if not a little better.
Okay.
Because normally decks like that, they don't have a nice like turnaround curve. They go to maybe like 6 land, and they don't have like a creature that can just turn the tide.
Okay.
But with the Black Green Rock, I'm playing the Bellower.
Okay.
So turn 6, I'm actually getting a Sylvan Advocate,
Okay.
and if I have a man land, that's an automatic swing for 14 on turn 7.
Right. So you're generating quite a bit of power with that Woodland Bellower.
Yeah.
So do you have any interesting one-of creatures that you're tutoring for?
Actually, the only 2 creatures that I can get in the deck are Sylvan Advocate and a one of Warden of the First Tree.
Okay.
So depending on how my life is, if I'm at 10 or below, I'll go get the Warden of the First Tree because it
And then-
automatically goes to
Yeah.
second trigger, and you know.
Yeah. So you're gonna put some counters on it, give it lifelink and start attacking. Are there any creatures that you wish were green that you could tutor for with the Woodland Bellower?
I just need creatures not to be legendary. If I could tutor for Anissa,
Oh yes.
it would be awesome. Just need it not to say legendary. It would be awesome.
Right.
To do that.
You know, if they made Reflector Mage, green as well, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely amazing.
I don't know how wonderful it would really be, but
I mean, sometimes you need to completely blow your opponent out. That's the
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
you don't want them to think they even have a chance sometimes.
Well, you got to go from a clear board to them having a clear board, right?
No one wants to play Fair Magic. Fair Magic? Nah.
Not for me. Not for me.
No, in Legacy a couple years ago, I was playing a game where my opponent had 7 lands in play and had tapped out, and I had 5 lands, and they had just activated a Pernicious Deed, so I had nothing in play. And I cast a Brainstorm, and then cast Blood-Braided Elf into Shardless Agent into Boom Bust, casting Bust, and blowing all the lands up. So that's my prime example. So it looks like taking a fetch here down to 19 for Jeremy. And Sylvan Advocate coming out on turn 2 is quite good at attacking. There's not, Seeker of the Ways not going to be able to block it. He's going to at least get a couple damage in here with it.
I just think Robert being on the play, this game 3 is going to be what might decide the match.
Yeah, and especially with such a tempo-based deck where, so Self-Inflicted Wound is clearing out that Sylvan Advocate.
That's definitely a nice way to take that 2 damage back.
Yep. Yeah, so Jeremy just wants to basically halt the tide of creatures that this Bant Company deck can produce. So as long as he can, not get overrun, basically, he's in pretty good shape here. So taking a fetch down to 17 here. And especially now because, like, there's a lot of creatures that are losing value. Like, you don't really want to have to cast a Reflector Mage into your opponent's open board. You know, the 2/3 body is not nearly enticing enough to want to do that. But I'm guessing here, yeah, see a Deathmiss Raptor. That's the
ideal turn.
Standard, yeah. That's probably the best creature that could have gotten played. And Silk Wrapped, and it looks like Jeremy is missing a land drop here, so that may actually just be like nail in the coffin here for him. We'll see.
Good thing is he still has answers, so at least he's still playing.
Right. I mean, his deck is full of very powerful cards, and Robert was unable to cast Collected Company on that turn because he did have the Lumbering Falls coming into play tapped. And here, this is interesting too because, you know, having the Polluted Delta up, he could potentially have a Dispel in his hand. So now he's hitting his 4th land drop here.
Hand's probably just straight gas.
Yeah, he probably has a lot of good spells in his hand. He's activating 2 fetch lands here down to 17. And, you know, I'm suspecting that Robert might have something like Dispel and Collected Company in his hand, where he can have the counter magic up to stop his opponent. So, yep, so he's activating a fetch here down to 16.
Do we know if Robert left in Dromoka's command for games 2 and 3?
I don't recall seeing any last game, but I suspect if he had boarded them out, he may have boarded some back in just to try and stop these Silk Wraps.
Interesting.
So it looks like that was a Hollowed Moonlight to stop Gideon from making a Knight and to draw a card. So not really the ideal use of Hollowed Moonlight. He has Hollowed Moonlight here to try and combat the Secure the Waste that Jeremy's deck plays. So it looks like he's knocking Gideon down to 1 with that Lumbering Falls.
Looks like he's trying to get Gideon out by all means necessary.
Yeah. It's pretty difficult to fight through the active Gideon. So Painful Truths is taking Jeremy down to 14. But it's also a good indication that Robert might just not have any other relevant plays in his hand.
Yeah, this is a good position for Jeremy.
Yeah. So fetching down to 15 here. And Jeremy does still have mana open, representing, you know, he could have Hollowed Moonlight, he could have Dispel, you know, he could even have a removal spell in the form of Ultimate Price or something like that too. And there is some instance, you know, he has Murderous Cut and other things like that, but having a Planeswalker into your opponent's no creatures is
pretty good feeling.
Yeah, that's the position that he wants to be in. So looks like Lumbering Falls was added again, and the token is getting in the way, keeping Gideon alive.
I'm curious to look as what Robert would have in his hand.
Yeah, he may have all lands. You know, he also may have something like he may even have a Reflector Mage where he doesn't have enough mana to cast Mage and attack the Gideon down, so he may have opted not to play it just because it's like not an optimal turn. Jeez. All right, Jeremy getting very aggressive with the Gideons, making a token, and now he has a Gideon that has 4 loyalty. So even if the Lumbering Falls attacks the Gideon, he can just let it go down to 1, and he doesn't, you know, he doesn't even care. Yep. So
you were right.
Yeah, Reflector Mage is coming out, Lumbering Falls. Yeah, so that's the sequence that is speculating. But now, since he played the new Gideon, he can just animate Gideon, attack. You know, Robert's still not in very good shape, and yeah, it is like he just had pretty much all lands in his hand.
And it's almost like him not having enough mana actually helped him out a little bit in that earlier situation.
Yeah. I mean, anytime that you get stuck on mana with a deck like this, your hand's gotta be full of great spells.
He does have a third Gideon in his hand.
Did you see it?
Yeah, he has
Okay.
at least a spell on Gideon in his hand.
Okay, so yeah, so he's got quite a powerful array of cards. Yep. So he's going to play a new Gideon, make another ally. Yeah, this is just so hard to fight through. He's like extra creatures every turn, and a Seeker of the Way too. And so he's leaving up that blue mana with the Dispel in the hand. It's going to be pretty hard for Robert to survive much longer, it looks like. Alright, so Reflector Mage is blowing up one of the Knight allies, but there's still, not a whole lot he can do. Even if he just attacks with Lumbering Falls, he can just let Gideon go down to 1. Alright, so those guys are coming across.
Yeah, the plan of attacking Gideon with the Lumbering Falls every turn just
yeah.
starting to run its course, I believe.
I'm actually surprised I didn't actually with that Reflector Mage.
Yeah, so he knocks Gideon down to 2. And actually, I really don't like those blocks here from Jeremy. I think if Jeremy had put both creatures in front of the Lumbering Falls,
right,
I think that would have been pretty great. Because, at worst, he's going to lose this Seeker of the Way. But he still gets the Lumbering Falls out. And Lumbering Falls becomes a really big threat if Robert does get a Sylvan Advocate.
and really it's all Robert has been living off of right now.
Yeah. Oh, so he's going to Silk Wrap and get a Prowess trigger, and that looks like that'll do it. Yep, with no blockers left, it looks like he had exactly enough damage to come in, and that looks like that is match. So now what's interesting here is because Jeremy was coming into this round at 3-2. So he's won, but he's not even guaranteed to be in the top 8.
Right.
So he may continue to have the highest tiebreakers, but this really is also could be good for Robert, because now Robert's tiebreakers are going to go up from having just lost to Jeremy.
Right.
It is possible for Robert to sneak.
And it may still even be Robert making the top 8, even though he just lost this match. And it depends on what his